will enforce trauma, like I said.
Something where the brain moves inside your skull, either side to side or front to back.
Initial, okay? The second, what you hit on is the silent part, and that's the post-traumatic inflammation, swelling of the brain. And that can happen a day, a week, a month, years later after the injury. So what we've identified is a specific group of hormones in the brain called neurosteroids that are responsible for making us who we are, responsible for our cognition, our behavior, our psychology, physiology, executive decision-making, all these things. And so when you have that swelling of the brain, the pituitary system can't work properly. That causes all these cascades of symptoms down the line. The current mechanism is to treat it with medication and psychotherapy, which doesn't work.
And when it's so clinically put out as you did, it sounds like it's obvious, but the symptoms, people can be asymptomatic of TBI and PTSD. Right. So much time, and inside the tissue is deteriorating, and things are happening internally that nobody sees.
Let me say something about that, because I'm dealing with this right now on a family level.
Yeah.
My dad's a Marine Corps veteran from Vietnam era, and he's told me stuff in the last 12 months that he's never told me in my whole life. I'm 45 years old.
Yeah.
And that's something, he's thank God, he's seeking treatment right now. He's getting some help from the VA. And I'm going to ask you this, just brother to brother. What else can he do other than VA treatment and seeing a psychologist talking about stuff like that? I know we talked about a lot of drugs and stuff like that.
This is what we're offering, Sean.
Right.
We're offering an alternative that treats the underlying condition.
Okay.
We need to find out what his underlying condition is. And how do you do that? You do it with an objective blood test. How easy is that? Look for
sounds simple, yeah.
Specific group of hormones saying, "Oh my God, this guy's deficient in this." No wonder he has all these.
So you're
all these problems.
So you're pinpointing it with an actual blood sample versus trying to crack the code in someone's mind. Right.
It's like hormone replacement therapy.
Exactly.
Is what it is.
Exactly. You're treating the underlying condition by doing a individualized, objective blood panel, and then you replenish what you're deficient in.
Right. So Chase, you're actually going through a lot of this, right?
Yes.
So why don't you explain to you the difference in when you first started the treatments and to where you are now?
Okay, well, I get funny faces every time I say this, but when I started the treatment beforehand, my life was honestly at the bottom. And I had not quite realized it yet, hadn't accepted it, but I was drinking a lot. My kids weren't getting to see me as much. Well, then I start the treatment. We're talking 3 days. I wake up the third day, and the first thing I do is smile. Not even joking. And I hadn't done that. I hadn't wanted to face a day in over a year, well over a year. And then it hit me, and I just started getting teary, and I started thinking, I told my wife, I said, there's hundreds of thousands of guys like me, with kids, with a wife, with families that are out there struggling right now. And I was like, and who's going to help them? Nobody is. Nobody's wanting to do anything. Everybody's wanting to drug these guys up.
Because they're treating the symptoms, not the actual disease. Is what's happening here.
Well, is the VA currently using the blood test?
No. The VA does not offer this treatment protocol, and we were fortunate enough to get lined up with the top neuroendocrinologist in the field of treating traumatic brain injuries out of California. And so here's what the VA does. They say, okay, this person's deficient in testosterone. They give him a testosterone. But here's the thing. There's precursors to testosterone, things that are responsible for making it upstream. And if that's affected and you're not treating that, you're just treating testosterone, then you're not fixing the issue. That's just, again, masking a symptom. So the body's going to overcompensate, and it's going to overload your cortisol, your sympathetic nervous system, and you're going to be hypervigilant. You're going to be on edge. You're not going to be able to sleep. You're going to have adrenal fatigue, so you're going to have extreme highs, extreme lows. These are all things that we can now tie back up into right into the being deficient in these hormones.
As Andrew's talking, I can't help but think of a neighbor that actually committed suicide. He was in the Marines, and I remember vividly the first time he had his first break. My father, God rest his soul, who was also Marine, actually had to go into the house. He was alone in the house with a weapon. My father had to go into the house and actually yell at him like he was a drill sergeant to get him to snap back into reality and then go into treatment. And unfortunately, his story, like many others, is one where he ultimately ended up taking his life. And I can't help but think that, God, if we knew then what we know now,
right.
And how many people, talented people, imaginative people, bright people that we've lost.
Is it still 22 a day, Andrew?
Here's the thing. That's the numbers out, but it's actually
so much
higher.
more than that.
But here's why. They only can say it's a suicide if they leave a suicide note, a premeditated thing. Okay?
Wow.
So if somebody drives off a bridge, takes a massive overdose, does all these other things, and doesn't leave anything out, then they won't do it.
So it's likely much higher than that.
What we've heard estimated as at more like 40 a day.
God.
It's
which is
boggles your
like
mind.
more than double the national
Could you
average.
imagine if
More
it was
than double.
40 children a day? What we'd be saying in the news?
Right.
Could you imagine if we were saying it was 40 women a day? What would we be saying in the news?
Well, you have to think.
Why isn't this reported on more?
You have to think about the second and the third order effects of that veteran, that service member committing suicide. The wife, the family, second, third generation problems. We've had enough.
Right.
We have an answer. We have a solution. It's cost effective. We can treat them anywhere without having to go to the VA and give them world-class care with one of the top doctors in the field of endocrinology.
So let me ask you, why has the VA not adopted this yet? Is it bureaucracy and red tape?
Absolutely.
That's what I mean. Obviously, yeah.
Think about this, Sean. I was on 13 medications. The generic cost of that a month was close to $3,000 a month.
You were a customer.
You know what, Sean?
Not in somebody's good profit
Right.
margin to take
Right.
our guys off of all these medications.
There's two reasons, too, and Chase and I got to get into this in a second. Reason number one is it's bureaucratic red tape. Reason number two is it's not cookie cutter, right?
Yeah.
It's not cookie cutter treatment, right,
Let's
Chase?
do it the
This
same
is
way.
individualized,
Yeah.
and it is a doctor that is doing what all doctors should be doing, which is let's figure out what the individual has and what their situation is first, and then treat that, pinpoint it, instead of, hey, how do you feel? Oh, you feel this way? Okay, we'll give you this medication. That does nothing.
And when you talk about manipulating hormone therapies, you have to really gauge the person you're dealing with to find out what their levels are individually. So a doctor in a VA system, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, won't really have the discretion to go and do all this testing, which can be expensive, and then go through the follow-up of adjusting and maneuvering as the treatment progresses on.
They need proper training, and we have an answer for that. We can train in everything. We have a complete answer, and you're absolutely right. Though the problem is they give a cookie cutter solution to an individual problem, and that after 15 years has not worked. Absolutely has not worked. And to keep trying it is ludicrous.
Absolutely. It's the definition of insanity, Amanda. You keep banging your head against the wall expecting a different result, and nothing happens.
Exactly. Right. Is there anything that we could do in terms of lobbying or advocacy to try and get this treatment implemented in the VA?
Yeah. We're in talks with the highest echelons of the VA, and we're going to continue to put the full court press on them and continue to put out the immediate fire, and that's to get these guys treatment. So when you turn 100 zombies and back into the productive citizens in the silver sector, that's going to have a massive rippling effect. And then you treat more and more and more. By soon, it's going to take root, and it's going to be demanded that the government is either going to get on the train or they're going to miss it, because technology will come by and it will make the VA irrelevant, and we can just rely on certain technologies to do these things for us.
It sounds like a great solution, and I'm glad that it's finally in the works. We want to get everybody on board with this by supporting your foundation, supporting all the work you're doing, whether it be advocacy on social media, whether it be donating to your foundation, whatever it could be. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and all the good work that you're doing.
Yeah, we just launched a new website. We're really proud of it, www.waftbi.org. That's waftbi.org. And we put out a lot of good content on there. We're on all the social media hot buttons now, dropping knowledge bombs all day long. We're real big. I'm real big on the sciences and proving everything that you say with validation and research. And so we put out a ton of good articles for people to read and get good information on this stuff.
Well, listen, there's a reason why we call the show Behind Enemy Lines when we broadcast on WNJC. Behind Enemy Lines is not only because we're Republicans in New York City, but it's also because my co-host Russ Gallo, First Sergeant Gallo in the 258th, we must always keep our veterans in mind at all times. And it's a tribute to his service that we do, and it's a tribute to you guys and all that you do for us. And whatever we can do beyond this interview, let's not stop here.
Yeah.
We're going to take this beyond and support you in any way we can, whether it's advertising on the website, whether it's writing articles, whatever you need. We're committed to do it. We're on board right now, and we're going to do all that we can to help out.
I mean, it just you guys are American patriots, and it's an honor to be with you and a part of this. It's great.
Our patriotism pales in comparison to you, my friend. Thank you so much for everything. Chase, thank you so much. God bless.
Been an honor to see you guys.
Folks, go on the website, www.waftbi.org.
He was getting old and paunchy, and his hair was falling fast. And he sat around the Legion telling stories of the past, of a war that he had fought in, and the deeds that he had done, in his exploits with his buddies. They were heroes, every one. And though sometimes to his neighbors his tales became a joke, all his Legion buddies listened, for they knew whereof he spoke. But we'll hear his tales no longer, for old Bill has passed away. The world's a little poorer, for a soldier died today. He will not be mourned by many, just his children and his wife, for he lived an ordinary and quite uneventful life. He held a job and raised a family, quietly going his own way. And the world won't note his passing, though a soldier died today. When politicians leave this earth, their bodies lie in state, while thousands note their passing and proclaim that they were great. Papers tell their whole life stories from the time that they were young, but the passing of a soldier goes unnoticed and unsung. Is the greatest contribution to the welfare of our land a guy who breaks his promise and cons his fellow man? Or the ordinary fellow who in times of war and strife goes off to serve his country and offers up his life? A politician's stipend and the style in which he lives are sometimes disproportionate to the service that he gives, while the ordinary soldier, who has offered up his all, is paid off with a medal and perhaps a pension, small. It's so easy to forget them, for it was so long ago that the old Bills of our country went to battle. But we know it was not the politicians with their compromises and ploys who won for us the freedom that our country now enjoys. Should you find yourself in danger with your enemies at hand, would you want a politician with his ever-shifting stand? Or would you prefer a soldier who has sworn to defend his home, his kin and country, and would fight until the end? He was just a common soldier, and his ranks are growing thin. But his presence should remind us we may need his like again. For when countries are in conflict, then we find the soldier's part is to clean up all the troubles that the politicians start. If we cannot do him honor while he's here to hear the praise, then at least let's give him homage at the ending of his days. Perhaps just a simple headline in a paper that would say, "Our country is in mourning, for a soldier died."